Every season of The Amazing Race is an adventure. There are good racers, bad racers, and lucky racers. A good season of The Amazing Race takes you around the world and grips you with its interesting racers, crazy challenges, and close calls. You will want to tune in episode after episode to see where they go next until it all finishes with a hopefully satisfying conclusion. Each racing pair we look at together will have us experiencing their journey from beginning to end, from the time that they are introduced until they inevitably get eliminated or win the amazing race. We will look at every character moment and strategic move to determine whether they were a hero or a villain and whether they were good or bad racers. And with that, welcome to The Amazing Race.
Welcome to The Amazing Race.
For reference, we will only be observing what the TV show is showing us and what story is being told through the show. All character moments and strategic moves are interpreted with the mindset of what the story is trying to tell us. And before we start, I want to thank you all for liking the videos and subscribing to this channel. That is oh so important to helping us grow and not getting us eliminated on YouTube's pit stop mat. But if you want to do a little bit more to put gas into the tank, then consider supporting this channel on Patreon. You get all videos I release weeks early, and you get to vote for which stories I tell, like this one, and even get an exclusive Patreon only video each month. Thank you for your support. Natalie and Nadiya Anderson, twins from New York but born in Sri Lanka, were a team of racers on The Amazing Race 21 and 24. That's right, we are covering both of their seasons in one video. Stay tuned until after the resolution of their time on season 21 to watch the story of their time on season 24 as well. Both of these seasons take place before their time on Survivor seasons 29 and 40, so that will not be mentioned here in detail. However, understanding their story here is relevant to understanding why they are perceived the way they are when they do play on Survivor. This season of The Amazing Race features an all newbie cast consisting of 11 teams and a worldwide trek that has them traveling 25,000 miles around the world, and it all starts in Pasadena, California, which is where we meet Natalie and Nadiya for the first time, and they introduce themselves by telling us a story of how they use their twin powers to help each other cheat on tests and break up with each other's boyfriends.
She broke up with my high school boyfriend for me, and he didn't even know.
Yeah, so whatever, he's a bum.
He was a bum. Quitting from taking each other's exams, and we took each other's midterms.
Stop, we're gonna get in trouble. We're already graduated, it's too late.
After meeting all of the 11 teams, it is time. And they're off. Their first task is to rappel down the bridge they are already on to get their first clue. Natalie and Nadiya do just that, and not only get their clue, but they are fast enough to actually get on the first flight to Shanghai, China.
Natalie and Nadiya and Robin Kelly are on the first flight, arriving 1 hour and 15 minutes ahead of the second flight.
They arrive in China and they are given their first task, which is a roadblock where one of them has to beat a kid at table tennis, which sounds a lot easier than it actually is. Every time the kid scores a point on a racer, he downgrades what he is using as a paddle to things such as clipboards and frying pans. They think this kid though will be a piece of cake.
Growing up in Sri Lanka, we play table tennis. Anyway, so it's like, oh, I got this, whatever. I go in there, I see him up, I size him up, it's like, piece of cake.
Slam it, slam it!
However, the kid is not a piece of cake and in fact is very good. So much so that Natalie loses over and over, all the while Nadiya scolds her. This is funny to us, but it could be grating to some.
What's wrong with you?
He's hitting it hard.
Natalie, relax.
You relax. Look at you,
Natalie, you're just hitting it.
What are you doing? Be motivational.
Natalie, you're just hitting like this. Just slam it.
Look at you,
Natalie, you're just hitting it.
Shut up.
They enter the roadblock in third place, but by the time Natalie finishes, they lose 3 spots and are down to 6th.
Natalie, slam it.
Woo! Yeah! Thank you. Let's go get a cab.
They then have a second roadblock at a restaurant where Nadiya has to eat frog fallopian tubes with chopsticks. She does just that and actually dances with the locals while doing so. They leave the roadblock maintaining their 6th place position, and they find the lady with the abacus who gives them their last clue to get to the pit stop. After receiving the clue, Rob and Kelly are still looking for this abacus lady, and they ask the Twinnies, as they call themselves, who lie and say, hey, we don't know where she is either.
They've caught up to us.
Hey, the abacus, did you find her?
Did you?
No.
No, looking.
They then reach the pit stop, and Phil informs them,
Natalie and Nadia, you're team number 4, and that's pretty good news.
Oh, we wanted one.
So far, Natalie and Nadia, aka the Twinnies as they have deemed themselves, are there to win. They don't care if they need to lie to do so, and completely embrace their behavior in a way that makes it endearing to us watching from home. If you are going to be a villain, then just embrace it, which they do wholeheartedly. However, they have also shown a fun side when dancing with the locals, so they will be an interesting team to follow as the season moves along. Episode 2 begins and the teams are traveling to Surabaya, Indonesia. While heading to the airport, we hear from the Twinnies about how they grew up in a third world country themselves, so they aren't worried about going to these kinds of places like other teams may be.
I think growing up third world, some of the stuff that we're doing, people are scared of the roads, scared of the beggars. That stuff is like, these are like our homeboys.
They arrive in Indonesia, and upon arriving, they make a pact/alliance with Trey and Lexi to help each other get as far as they can in this race.
Lexi and Trey, we agreed that if we can help each other and it means all 4 of us getting to the front, we're gonna do that.
Let's do this.
They then have to do a roadblock, which the clue asks who likes to party. Nadia elects to do it, and she jokes that she chose to do it because the only kind of parties that Natalie is good at are the ones where there are lots and lots of alcohol to drink.
If they were referring to real partying, I would have said me, but
Because it's an amazing race and we know the challenge wouldn't be down 30 bottles of tequila, I went with it.
However, Nadia does do a good job at bicycling the carousel and making balloon animals, and they finish the roadblock in 3rd place.
Here you go, baby. Okay, we're done.
Make your way to Wijaya Motor.
They then are given a detour, which is a choice between 2 tasks, each with their own pros and cons. They can either make a fish stand in a market or move massive ice blocks. While most teams pick moving the ice blocks, they decide to make a fish stand and explain that none of these tasks that they will ever have to do will scare them because they aren't divas.
Oh, this is it. This is it. Go, go. Me and Nadia grew up as tomboys, so we're not gonna turn to divas.
They blow through it fairly easily, and upon arriving at the pit stop, Phil tells them,
And we have fish.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
You guys stink.
Tell us some good news, Phil.
Natalie and Nadia,
Yes. Yes.
but you are team number 1.
that 1st place finish nets them an express pass that they can use up to a certain point in the race to skip any task they want. We move on to episode 3, where the teams are staying in Indonesia and they need to go to a restaurant. Since they have no idea where to go, they decide to wait for another team, which is the Chippendales, who they call stupid, even though the Chippendales are by far the nicest team on this race.
Guys, we should go and wait for the other team and see what they're doing at this point. We can go with the stupid Chippendales.
The Twinnies then catch a cab to the restaurant, but it is clear as day that their driver does not know where he's going. Now, a cardinal sin of a lot of bad race teams or unlucky race teams is how when they realize their driver is lying to them saying that they know where they're going when they actually don't, these racers will usually stick it out and just complain, sometimes costing them the race. However, Natalie and Nadia are smart and ditch this guy for another cab.
Sir, do you know where Anita Jaya Bandang is? This guy's the worst cab driver ever. Let's get off. Screwed ourselves, man.
They finally get to the restaurant, and as will become typical all race, they call each other dummies.
Get the clue, dummy! Oh.
At the roadblock, we learn something very strange about the twins. Nadia tells us that Natalie screaming at her actually helps her relax, which is weird, but they must have done this a lot as kids.
When Natalie screamed, that really helped me just relax, and I started doing like deep yoga breathing as I was walking with these plates.
Anyways, they enter the roadblock in 6th place and leave in 6th place, dropping 5 spots from how they began this leg.
Thank you. Thank you guys. Enjoy your meal.
Keep your eyes open for your next clue.
Because of this slow start to the leg, there are 2 trains going to their next location in Indonesia, and they miss the first train by mere minutes and have to travel on the 2nd train, which leaves 3 hours later.
This is the train. Tell the train to wait. Tell the train to wait.
We missed the train.
They get to the detour, which has them picking the lion's head task, which they describe as CrossFit but with like a lion's head. They crush everyone else who was on the second train, and they arrive at a double blind U-turn, meaning that two teams can be U-turned and are forced to do both detour tasks. They don't have a choice. And the blind part of that means that they don't know who it is that U-turn them. However, at that blind U-turn, they decide not to do it to anyone, but Nadiya runs into the cameraman, and Natalie is too enamored with how cute they are in their photo.
Let's see. Okay, nobody's being U-turned. All right, let's go. I want a picture. Natty, come on. Picture's cute. Natty, shut up.
They run to the pit stop where Phil tells them,
Natalie and Nadiya,
7.
you are team number 6. What, you want 7?
No, I thought we were...
Okay.
Episode 4 begins and everyone has to travel to Bangladesh. All 8 teams remaining are on the same flight and therefore are tied. Upon arriving in Bangladesh, the driving is really crazy and the Twinnies say it is third world Grand Theft Auto.
Aggressive driving!
This is third world Grand Theft Auto, plus bulls and goats and garbage.
And minus the nice car.
Upon arriving at the roadblock, they have a chance to go for the fast forward and skip all tasks, but they pass it up. Natalie elects to do the roadblock, which requires her repairing a bus. Since she is the only female doing this out of all of the teams, Nadiya doesn't let anyone not know this fact, and her constant cheering drives Abby and Ryan up the wall.
Better? Yeah, you is a Twinnie! Twinnie, good job, Twinnie! Now stand your ass off! Well, Nadi, you're the only girl here. Twinnie, you're the only girl here, Twinnie.
Seems like the only girl doing the challenge here is Natalie.
Come on, Nadiya, twinsies!
Despite that, they finish the roadblock in third place, and at the detour, they pick the pounding the metal task, which is definitely the most physically demanding of the 2 choices they had, but they breeze through it and move up to second place, only behind James and Abba, who have already finished the leg due to them having taken advantage of the fast forward.
Make your way to the pit stop.
On the way to the pit stop, they say it will be a foot race, and clearly we find out that they are not fans of Abby and Ryan as well, and the rivalry is on.
And I'm a little annoyed that we are with another group.
Now it's gonna be a foot race between us and the craziest couple here who are almost psychotic.
Upon arriving at the pit stop, Phil tells them,
Abby and Ryan, you are team number 2. Natalie and Nadiya, that would make you number 3.
Good job, guys.
Good job, guys.
Congratulations.
As the 5th leg begins, Natalie and Nadiya tells us that they are the last all-female team remaining and they will not quit and they will fight until the bitter end.
Right now, we're the only girl team left, and we're not only hanging with them, we're beating them, which feels amazing. So we're not going anywhere.
At the roadblock, Nadiya chooses to make the scale, and right away, Natalie is yelling at her, probably to calm her nerves, as we learned in a previous episode. Ryan starts to imitate her and is yelling at Nadiya as well, and they call him a tool.
Do it for the brownies, Twinnie!
Ryan thinks he's being cute. He's kind of rude, obnoxious. He's a tool.
Natalie then rallies some local kids to help her cheer on Nadiya, which they do, and she blows through the task and finishes it in second place.
Let's go, Twinnie! Woo! Yay, Twinnie! Good job, Twinnie! Thank you. Good job, Twinnie!
At the detour, they pick the slower, more strenuous task of moving massive bamboo poles, and while doing so, they take a moment to once again dance with the locals.
Woo! Natty, dance with him.
They finish the roadblock, and at the pit stop, Phil tells them,
Natalie and Nadiya, you're team number 3.
No, we want you to give us number 1.
Oh, really?
Episode 6 begins, and the teams now have to travel to Turkey, and the rivalry between them and Abby and Ryan heats up as the Twinnies call them weirdos and freaks, while Abby and Ryan call the Twinnies one of the most annoying teams on the race, and they want them kicked off immediately.
That Abby and Ryan are a competitive team, but Ryan rubs everybody the wrong way. I have no animosity, but they're just too weirdo. Just freak us out.
The 2 most annoying teams on this race, the Rockers, and Twisted Sisters. Just get them off the race already. Tired of them all. I'm tired of them all.
As it turns out, everyone will be on the same flight together, but while doing some research online, James and Abba leave their money on a table and go to use the computer not but 10 feet away. The Twinnies spot the money that was left behind, steal it, and get Trey and Lexi to agree to help them take it.
Picked it up and I was like, Oh, whose money is this?
I just snatch Nadi's hand and I push it down and I'm like, shut the hell up.
Nadia, I can't believe you set it up. You're such an idiot.
I could tell that Lexi had the same idea as Nadia and I.
We want the money.
Trey, I think, needed a little bit of convincing.
And we were like, shut up, Trey, you don't get a vote.
Yeah.
While it isn't okay to steal someone's personal items on the race, the money sitting out in the open makes it fair game, and they don't get into any trouble, not even a penalty for stealing the money. They arrive in Turkey and they run into a detour which has them choosing to get a bath and a massage. Talk about the best detour ever.
Private Twinnie massage.
Nice.
They then run into a roadblock where they need to sell sherbet to the locals, and the Twinnies joke on each other.
Who's ready to pour their heart out?
I am.
Natalie, because she's single.
What?
Get your sexy on, Natalie. Nadia, you should put some makeup on me.
But of course, Abby and Ryan can't go too long without trashing on the Twinnies, and they say they can suck it.
Yes!
Good job, babe.
Sri Lankans want Lexi and Trey to win first.
Why?
Because they don't want us to win.
They're so juvenile. They can suck it.
They finish the roadblock pretty quickly, and at the pit stop, Phil tells them,
Natalie and Nadia, you are team number 4. Congratulations.
You have to come number 1.
Yeah,
this
no
time.
more Mrs.
Yeah,
nice
don't be
Twinnies.
nice twins anymore.
Yeah.
Episode 7 has everyone traveling to Moscow, Russia, and their cab driver that takes them to the airport tells them that he loves them, which I know sounds strange, but it's a lot less strange when you see it.
Papa.
I love you.
I love you, Papa. Let's go, Papa, let's go.
At the airport, they work with Trey and Lexi to get good flights, but Abby and Ryan are blinded by their hate for the Twinnies to see how this is actually a good strategic move, and instead say that the Twinnies are babies for needing anyone else's help.
They wait for those chicks?
Probably.
Babies. Figure out how to go from point A to point B without someone else's help.
The Twinnies do get on the second flight to Moscow out of the 3 flights, and Abby and Ryan are on the 3rd flight, which gets them into Russia much, much later. Upon arriving in Moscow, they are hit with a detour where they can either alphabetize books in Russian or do synchronized swimming. They decide on the swimming, but their instructor doesn't speak English, and they're kind of rude about this.
What are we doing? Why did you
After quite a few failed attempts, they consider using their express pass, but James and James, aka the Chippendales from earlier, tell them not to waste it since Abby and Ryan, along with Josh and Brent, are so far behind. They smartly hold on to the express pass and get out of the detour in 3rd place.
Thank you so much. Search for the tree of love. Find your next clue.
At the roadblock, it's quite simple. All you have to do is unlock 10 locks with the ring of keys you have been given. While it is simple, it is very, very time consuming, and it requires a lot of luck to get it done fast. While Natalie works on it, Nadia berates her, and they end up fighting with each other while calling each other the worst partner ever.
Just shut up and do it, will you please? You idiot. You wasted an hour complaining.
The worst partner ever, you.
You're the worst partner ever, too.
However, they do finish the roadblock without losing any positions, and then explain how exactly they work things out between them.
This is me and Natalie. We get really upset at each other, but we just bounce back. We fight like a married couple. We make up like little kids, so it's a perfect relationship.
They run to the pit stop, and Phil tells them,
You're team number 3.
Not good.
Why is that?
We were horrible today.
Today we were just terrible.
Leg 8 has everyone staying in Mother Russia, and the driver, knowing that they are Americans, their cab driver, offers them to make a quick stop by the local McDonald's. And they say, no, we're already too fat, but thanks for the offer.
McDonald's, вам нужен.
Oh, no, he's not going to a McDonald's.
McDonald's.
No, go.
No McDonald's.
No McDonald's.
Okay.
No McDonald's. No McDonald's.
Okay.
They're too fat.
It takes them forever to get to the roadblock, and when they finally do get there, they smartly use their express pass. Since this is the last leg, it is eligible to even be used.
I'm express passing.
At this roadblock, both of us were like, hell no. We would have been so screwed.
It was a good thing that we had that express pass.
The Twinnies were smart in passing up McDonald's because their next task is to learn and perform a Russian soldier dance while wearing a military-looking uniform, and while practicing the routine they have to perform, Natalie rips her pants.
Oh my god, I can't. My ass.
She did it again and it ripped some more.
They do end up dancing their pants off on the detour, and at the pit stop, Phil tells them,
Yay!
Nadia.
Yes.
You are team number 3.
Okay, good job, Trini.
It is episode 9, and Abby and Ryan still have not caught up. And Amsterdam is their next stop on the race around the world. However, everyone knows the next U-turn opportunity will be on this leg. Will it be a blind U-turn? Who knows? Who cares? What Natalie and Nadia do know is that it is now time to finally finish off Abby and Ryan once and for all, who are still stuck in the back of the pack with Josh and Brent after that terrible flight they got to Moscow. So they devise a plan. They tell Trey and Lexi, along with James and James, that whoever gets to the U-turn first, make sure and U-turns Abby and Ryan. But on the off chance that Abby and Ryan are not the last team to get to the U-turn, and therefore will have the opportunity to U-turn someone else, the Twinnies want to shut down that chance. So whoever arrives at the roadblock second will U-turn the team that U-turned Abby and Ryan, which makes that U-turn that they use worthless. Since the first team that already arrived can't be U-turned, it is truly a brilliant plan and everyone agrees to it.
Even if we got split up, the first two people, the first one is Abby and Ryan, the second one U-turns the one who U-turned Abby and Ryan.
Natalie and Nadia are the first ones on the flight to Amsterdam, and what do you know, they have a chance to use the fast forward and skip all challenges and go straight to the pit stop. Considering of course that they successfully complete the fast forward challenge of eating a bunch of herring in 7 minutes while their bus literally floats on water like a boat. They do this with time to spare.
Got it. Ew, I ate a tail. Ew. Okay, we're done. Thank you. Don't touch it. Make your way to the pit stop.
At the pit stop, Phil informs them,
Natalie and Nadia, I am pleased to tell you that you are the winners of this leg of the race. What was this?
That's our #1 day.
but wait, what happened with the U-turn, you might be asking? A beautiful series of events actually, that plays out exactly as Natalie and Nadia planned. James and James U-turn Abby and Ryan. James and James then worthlessly get U-turned by Trey and Lexi, and ensures that Abby and Ryan are the only ones doing both detour tasks. And what happens at the pit stop for them?
Abby and Ryan, you are the last team to arrive. And I'm very sorry to tell you that you have been eliminated from the race.
Episode 10 begins and the Twinnies' rivals are gone. Now it is all open road ahead as they are going to Barcelona, Spain, and once again are on the first flight there with no one else on the plane with them.
We're out of here. This is too good to be true. Yeah. We gotta maintain this lead and take it full force.
However, they then need to catch a boat to get to their next clue box, but it doesn't leave until 11 p.m., which sucks because they arrived in Barcelona at 9 a.m. and all the other teams have the time to catch up, meaning all 4 teams are tied. But they do get to spend the day hanging out in Barcelona.
For once, we're kind of having a good time, like it's vacation.
One of the best days on the race ever.
By far, yeah. 1, 2, 3.
They finally get on that boat ride, and when they arrive at their destination, there are people dressed up like fire-breathing devil dancers. And yes, it is just as weird as it sounds. They do this, but now, for the first time all race, they have to drive a manual car, which neither of them can do very well, and they fall behind pretty quickly.
We discussed before coming here that Nadia would be in charge of learning stick shift proficiently. I took one class and I was like, you know, this seems easy enough, but definitely wasn't prepared.
This even has them getting the dodo music edit when trying to do simple things with the car.
Nadia, concentrate! Try to reverse all the way back. No!
They then finally get to the roadblock and all they have to do is just return 20 tennis balls shot from a machine. However, Nadia isn't very good at this, and they reveal that as kids, their parents wanted them to be good at tennis, so they had them take tennis classes. However, the twins would lie to their tennis coach and go swimming to get out of it.
Am I left-handed or right-handed? Right! Okay, my parents tried to force us to take tennis classes from like age 5. We'd be like, oh, we're gonna be right back, and we'd go run and jump in the pool in all our tennis clothes and then come back and they'd be like, you can't come on the clay court. So that's how we got out of tennis.
Nadia then finally finishes the roadblock in last place behind Josh, who is literally injured.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
They then get to the detour last, which they choose to do the same task of fixing a windmill that Josh and Brent are already doing, and only arrived a few minutes before the Twinnies. When arriving, once again, Natalie is yelling at Nadia.
The Beekman boys. Park! Go in the arrows, you fool! I didn't want to run over people.
They then finish their task after Josh and Brent leave, and at the pit stop, Phil sadly tells them,
Natalie and Nadia,
Yes.
I'm afraid I have bad news.
We know.
But let me put you in a good mood because this is a non-elimination
Oh
leg
my
and you're
God.
still in the race.
They barely made it to the finale on luck, but they will need to overcome starting last and the extra speed bump task in order to make up for this terrible leg they just had. It is finale time. The remaining teams are James and James, Trey and Lexi, Josh and Brent, and of course our heroes, the Twinnies, Natalie and Nadiya. They now have to travel to France. They then start talking a big game about how they hope there are some difficult challenges ahead that will knock out Josh and Brent and help secure them a spot in the final 3. On the train, while listening secretly, Josh and Brent hear them smack talking them and making a quote-unquote secret alliance with James and Trey and Lexi, which isn't really a secret at all, but Josh and Brent have been behind for so long in this race that they've missed all the times these three have hung out and worked together publicly, especially at that last U-turn.
It just sucks because the Beekmans, they're here taking up a spot, and we wanted way more than them.
They then need to drive to a chateau, and they assumed that Josh and Brent would not be an issue, but they assumed wrong. Natalie and Nadiya are very vocal about making it known that they want them gone next, which only enrages Josh and Brent and motivates them to fight harder.
We never thought the gays would be a threat to us. Our whole plan was to leave the Beekman boys in the dust, and now they're just on our coattails.
The Twinnies now have to do a speed bump that no one else has to do, which is an extra task for finishing last in the previous leg but not getting eliminated. They try to tell their alliance to lose Josh and Brent so they can't follow them everywhere, and Josh and Brent call them some nasty words.
Guys, please lose. Don't let them follow you. Yeah, guys, you guys gotta do that.
You don't have to lose us, guys. Just play nice. Don't listen to these bitches.
They blow through the speed bump, which is simply helping a lady dress, and surprisingly arrive at the detour in second place ahead of James and James, along with Josh and Brent.
Natalie and Nadiya, they made up some serious ground after their speed bump.
Only Trey and Lexi are here.
The Twinnies then pick to make the dog food instead of plowing, which is probably smart as the plowing is dependent on an animal, and it's kind of a rule of thumb on The Amazing Race to avoid challenges that are dependent on animals. And Josh and Brent pick the making the dog food task as well. Natalie and Nadiya then harass them and accuse Josh of faking an injury, which he isn't doing at all.
Stabbing people in the back.
Oh, please.
Josh, I didn't know you could run so fast. Were you faking the entire time?
No, he wasn't actually.
Lies.
Despite leaving the detour after Josh and Brent, they arrive at the roadblock before them, but they carelessly run into the cave first before getting their clue as to what they need to be doing, so they fall right back again behind Josh and Brent.
It's right here, come on.
Keep running. It's gonna be food inside you.
However, they beat Josh and Brent at the roadblock and are in third place heading to the pit stop.
Thank you. Castle the ladies.
Along the way, they stop and ask directions from a lady who tells them to go one direction.
Excuse me, ma'am. Do you know the castle of the ladies? Chambord? Okay. Chambord. Do you remember? How do you spell it? I know it's on the map.
But later on, they get directions from a man who tells them that they have been sent in completely the wrong direction altogether. And upon arriving at the pit stop, Phil informs them,
Natalie and Nadiya, I'm sorry to tell you that you're the last team to arrive. And you've both been eliminated from the race.
However, not all race teams get this, but the Twinnies get a fun package showcasing all the good times they had on the race that season, and it makes us feel real good about the time they did spend on our TV screens.
Now we're going back to our lives and we have each other, and that's more important than $1 million at the end of the day.
So let's break this down. How are Natalie and Nadiya as characters? Natalie and Nadiya entered the race as charming villains, and yeah, that is exactly what they were. They lied, trash talked about other teams and themselves, charmed locals, and were a genuine treat to have on screen. In a season with an amazing hero team like James and James, it was awesome to have a team that fully embraced playing a cutthroat game but had fun doing it. This is the kind of villainous teams we want to see on our screens, and they delivered in spades. Out of 36 character moments shown on the show, 18 were heroic and 18 were villainous, making Natalie and Nadiya polarizing figures on The Amazing Race 21. Now, how were Natalie and Nadiya with their strategies? Truly, they were a solid team. They raced well almost all season with the occasional hiccup here and there, but who doesn't have that? Their feud with Abby and Ryan seemed to make them stronger, and they did win 2 legs of the race. They were friendly with the locals for the most part and were very athletic, No task was too tough for them, but they had a stretch of legs where they seemed energized by being in third world countries, which is where most Amazing Race teams flounder. Their strategic move to eliminate Abby and Ryan was genius, and they had built the social capital with 2 other teams to make them do all the dirty work for them. Natalie and Nadiya didn't have to do anything but come up with the plan. However, they could not drive a manual car, and once Abby and Ryan were out of the picture, they lost focus, made careless mistakes, while also enraging Josh and Brent, which propelled them to be motivated enough to actually win and eliminate the Twinnies. Out of 33 strategic moments shown on the show, 23 were smart and 10 were dumb, making Natalie and Nadiya smart racers on The Amazing Race 21. But hold on, this is a double feature. Natalie and Nadiya return in season 24, which was The Amazing Race's second all-star season. This time, Natalie dyes her hair to make it easier to distinguish her from her sister, and the girls have resolved to not fight and be more focused this time around. However, they say they love to be obnoxious.
This time we're more focused on productivity. Yeah, shut up. This is Amazing Race. Like, if you're not a hot mess, you're not racing right.
It is time once again for the race to begin, and
Go!
they are off. They have to find a UCLA band member who has the correct symbol on their headwear to get a clue from Phil, which Natalie and Nadiya do, and this secures them a seat on the first flight out and gives them a 1-hour lead.
Congratulations! You are on the first flight.
However, before they can even get on the plane, they are already fighting in the parking garage.
I'll get in, Natty. I am worrying about stupid. No, the girls are coming. Shut up.
Upon arriving in China, they partner with the Afghanimals to help them find one of the 3 bridal stores they need to get their next clue. But they then also fight with the Afghanimals, who they call lunatics, and tell them to shut up.
Those are not Amazing Race flags. That's just Chinese flags. Yeah, you lunatic, shut up. The stupid Afghanimals.
They do actually find one of the right shops, but they leave way too soon before being able to get the clue, not realizing that they were actually in the right location, and for some reason thinking that they were in the wrong location.
4-1's in here.
4-1, right here. That's not the name though. It's a different street, guys. We're in the wrong street, guys.
Along the way of searching for another bridal shop, they ask for help, and a local actually leads them into someone else's house. They then go to another wrong shop before splitting up from the Afghanimals, who do find the right place and decide not to tell the Twinnies, and who can blame them? The Twinnies just called them lunatics and told them to shut up. They then finally get some help from someone who does know where these places are at, and they go to the first 2 stores, which are both out of clues now because everyone else has already gotten theirs, before finally getting a clue at the last store, and are exhaustingly tied for last place.
Which one? Madison, do you have more for us? Okay. Yes. Come on, finally, let's go. Okay. Oh my God. Great job, girls, great job. Oh God.
They then need to go to the top of a skyscraper that has bubbles that allow for a scenic view of the area. What they don't know is that only the even numbered bubbles have the clue to where they need to go in them. The other ones just say, try again. They accidentally get into an odd number bubble, not knowing they had to get into an even numbered bubble, and have to wait an excruciating amount of time. And of course, while waiting, they fight some more.
Whatever. How are you supposed to know which one it is? You said Nadiya. Every single one is a right one. Idiot. You weren't a hot mess before. Stop blaming me. Yeah, you can blame me for everything. So why didn't you tell me not to get in? I told you. I said, are you sure? I asked you, are you sure? Yes. I said I saw it. I saw that. No.
They then get out of their wrong bubble and have another fight about which bubble to get into next, and they are a hot mess.
You might as well wait for a guaranteed in. So what? Just wait 25 minutes more? It takes right so long. Nadiya, yeah, right there. They're gonna be out.
They finally take a chance and get into a bubble, which thankfully does have a clue for them. Nadiya does the roadblock, which is so simple that it changes absolutely no one's position in the game. And at the pit stop, Phil informs them,
Natalie and Nadiya, I'm sorry to tell you that you are last. And you have been eliminated from the race.
But it's like, you know, why can't we just get it together? Yeah, exactly.
So that's it. That's every time Natalie and Nadiya Anderson have been on The Amazing Race. It is unfortunate they didn't make it further, as this second season actually spends 2 legs in their birth country, Sri Lanka, which would have been killer for the race. But that is okay, as they both return to play on the 29th season of Survivor. Thanks for watching. If you like the content you see here, then please support me and this channel on Patreon. Your financial support makes all of this possible, so thank you, and thank you for watching.